Hey Saints fans, welcome to the sixth installment of Marymount Athletics summer segment Behind the Moment. Every Thursday over the summer, we'll be diving back into some of the greatest moments in program's history. Today, we welcome back members of the 2006 women's volleyball team, a team that earned the first ever conference regular season title after going 24-9 overall and achieving a perfect 7-0 record in the Capital Athletic Conference. Joining us today to talk about the season are former players Ralston McRoberts, Livioco, and Johannah Zabal. Thank you for joining us today. Julia, let's start with you. We had 11 girls on the team in 2006, and 6 of you were seniors. We opened the season going 5-1 and winning the Johns Hopkins Invitational, to which you were named MVP, which I bet you've totally forgotten. And then we had a huge win over Catholic, beating them in 5 sets. You had 49 digs, which remains a program record for digs in a single match. What were the expectations that you and the other seniors had going into this 26 season? Did you know it was going to be a special one?
I think personally, I had a lot of expectations for myself, especially like when we would start our 5-mile runs to get ready to start our preseason. And I think it was different for me personally, just because I felt like I didn't want to just get it done. I wanted to not only finish it, but be first. And I think that our team finally got in a good place, good camaraderie. We understood each other and what unique talents we had. I think by that point, I respected those that had been there the entire 4 years. And like me, I just transferred, and I respected the place that we were all in. And I think the talents that we were bringing. So yeah, I think in that, from my perspective, I was prepared for something different that season.
Yeah, in 2005, we had gone to the conference championship, and obviously you were all starters in that lineup as well. Do you remember any summer conversation or anything like that about what you wanted your senior years to look like?
I don't know so much the conversation from me. I mean, it's more of like, I always get, a lot of people saying that it's more of like I'm talking to people and I'm not really allowing much conversation, but I do remember having a certain email that I sent out that summer, hoping that maybe it would get anybody thinking about, what we could achieve that season, because I think that we did have just something different, something special in everybody's uniqueness and everybody's talents. And it was whether or not we were going to meld together and bring them together and become something, I think, just better than the season before. I mean, just a little bit better. I think that's all we needed. And so I think I had that kind of attitude, hoping that we would be able to come together and perform.
Yeah, it's interesting. You do bring up a good point. Of those 6 seniors, 3 of you transferred in, Johannah and Julia and Lauren Gay. So, Bea, what about you as the 4-year returning player in that class? Did you have some expectations? For those of you that I know you were close with those girls that had been you guys were like all 4-year starters. Was there any conversation about finishing that senior year the way you did?
I think we definitely did. I think it was a new and exciting dynamic, having a lot of transfers come in to kind of just mix up the group in terms of, personalities and skill sets. And I think that it provided a really good opportunity for people to kind of step up. It wasn't just going to be the same lineup from last year. And there was a different, to Julia's point about that kind of like that summer before that season, where there was a different kind of accountability, I think, for everybody kind of getting ready for preseason. I think we all had, the season before, we knew that we were kind of in for a more challenging, physically, kind of preseason that we knew that we had to be ready for. And I think that we all prepared a little bit differently that summer. And there was a certain amount of like expectations of each other, especially for those of us had been with the program all 4 years, where we had come in as freshmen into a program that was really rebuilding. And going into kind of our last shot at having a championship and getting a banner on the wall. And we knew that we would have to kind of lead the way as seniors. And if we didn't have that accountability in terms of showing our leadership and showing that we were going to work really hard before the season even started, that, you know, we weren't going to have that really strong start when the season began. And we weren't going to be able to kind of show some of the underclassmen and some of the newer players that were coming on to really, you know, accelerate our roster and really uplift our team, that, you know, we weren't going to have the right kind of dynamic from the jump. So I think that for sure we went into that season having really high expectations of each other, and we knew that we were going to be holding each other accountable.
Yeah, you know, accountability is something we still in the program talk about a lot. And so it kind of runs into this next question that I want to point out, that Coach Jo is also entering, not only was she a member of this 2006 team, but she's entering her 12th season with me on the coaching staff at Marymount. So I want to direct this question to her, because as coaches, I feel like now we spend a lot of time working on the team culture, building those expectations. And I think that's a huge part of what we do as a coaching staff. But the 2006 team you guys really created your own culture. And do you remember, you know, let's share the slogan that the team came up with on their own that year. And then can you kind of explain to us, you know, how you came to that slogan, what it meant, and in general, how did you guys build such a strong team culture that was really driven and directed by you all, the players, and not so much the coaching staff?
So yeah, our slogan, well, you can probably read it better on Beth Ann's shirt, but it's get that, run that, finish that. And it was kind of just like this simplistic, like, and be a jump in, you know, if you want to, but like, it was like the simplistic way of just saying, we know what our job is and we just have to execute it. We know how to do this. We just need to do it. And it was just like, we're just going to get the ball. We're going to run the plays that we know how to run, and we're just going to finish the play. And that was it. It was kind of like this pride point. It was kind of like a little swagger, you know, and it was just like, we have the talent. We know what we're doing. We know what we have all the tools and the players and the coaching and everything in place to just simplify it, get that, run that, finish that. And it was our job to then execute that plan. And I think in terms of the accountability, you know, obviously I've been coaching with you for 12 or 11 years now, going on 12. And you've done a tremendous job over the past 10-ish years, you know, of creating that culture of accountability from the coaching staff down, and really fostering, you know, that culture within Marymount Volleyball. And I think we, at the time, we had just such strong personalities with the three of us that transferred in, and then the girls who were had been there for 4 years and were contending, and our lineups were never the same. So we were always competing. In practice, we were competing because we wanted our spot. And so, you know, there was just that healthy, like, competition among the team to be like, I have to work hard every practice because my spot is not guaranteed. And then just I think the strength of the personalities, the integrity, a lot of that was just part of the personality of that group, and especially those seniors, us as seniors, contributed to that accountability. And we wanted to do something great, and we knew that we couldn't do it by not being accountable and not sticking to our, you know, execution of our plan.
As your coach, you know, back then, really, coaches kind of worked on the X's and the O's, and it wasn't as trendy or in the forefront of doing all the off the court stuff. But you guys seem to manage that. You just instinctively knew that was going to be a huge part of the game plan, and that I could take care of the X's and O's, and you were going to take care of the relationships. And you also had this instinctive ability to know that you didn't all have to be best friends all the time. You know, and there was some conflict with you all, and you didn't always do the exact same things off the court. But when you were in the gym, you all had the exact same focus, you had the same goals, and you really learned and taught me, the importance. And I don't know, I think I just was really lucky that I had this group of young women athletes that were completely dedicated to the success of this team. And they weren't caught up in, everyone has to be best friends all the time to be good teammates. And I think you respected each other enough, and you wanted to be successful enough, and you loved volleyball enough that it all worked just great. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely will. I think, as someone coming in as a freshman, when we had, people like Mary Carroll that were such strong leaders, but were very clearly the oldest on the team. And there was a very traditional type of leadership where she was the oldest, she always had wise words to say. And we listened because we were so much younger and we hadn't understand the ins and outs of the program. And when we had gotten to, that stage where those leaders were us, it was a different type of dynamic on the team. We had, any way you look at it, we had some really difficult personalities. And to this day, there are people that, there was an unsaid understanding that once we're done here on the court, I don't need to be friends with you later, but when we're all here, we're all on the same page. We have this slogan, we all know it, the back of our hand. And there was a certain amount of trust in each other that was new that season that we all had been working hard. There was an understanding we were going to be working hard off season, that when every single practice we were going to give it 100%, because to Johannah's point too, there was always a little bit of competition. People wanted to know, am I getting more digs than my teammate? Because am I earning my spot on the starting roster? And that was kind of a continual thing all season. So it was we're always pushing each other. And I think in a lot of different circumstances, it could have been problematic, but I think we just had the right set of personalities and the right, mindset of having the same goal that, at the end of the day, whether we're best friends after this or not, we're going to give it our all competition wise, and we're going to leave everything on the floor. And I think that was something that was really special about our squad.
I do follow you most on Instagram, and I do see a lot of you all still together in all of your social media picture posts. We don't want to give everybody the idea that you didn't like each other.
No, not at all.
You didn't all have to be best friends all the time. Yeah. Well, so Bea, the team went undefeated in the regular season in the CAC, and I was looking at the box score. I don't know how. I'm glad I was young. I would have had heart attacks at my age now. We had 5-set victories over Catholic, Mary Washington, Salisbury, and Gallaudet to clinch that. So you had a reputation from the beginning, even as recruiting you, of being quite a fiery player on the court. What was the fire like on the team, and how do you think you all pulled off all those hard-fought 5-set victories, especially the one on your senior night against Salisbury, which clinched the title for us?
Yeah, I think for I would say probably for the entire team, not just the seniors, I think, talking about the culture that we built, even within ourselves that season, there was a lot of emphasis on goal setting and writing things down and kind of keeping your eyes on the prize and focusing on kind of these bigger goals outside of this one game or these 5 points and that kind of thing. And I think that really kept us focused for a lot of these kind of longer games. And back then, I think we were playing games 30, which I can't even think about now. But these were games that it really depended upon how good a shape we were in, which we were in pretty good shape then because we had this really strong emphasis on kind of our physical abilities. And that, starting from before preseason through preseason and on. And we also had, if you really look at our players, we were not skill-wise the best at really a lot of things. And we weren't super consistent, but there was a certain when I think about the fire in our team and the different kinds of personalities that we had, I think it was a really interesting dynamic having Julia and I as captains, because as people, we probably couldn't be more different. Mm-hmm. I think people had always seen me as this fiery personality because I'm very vocal. I literally would lose my voice from August to November because I was on the court like every single play, almost every ball contact, saying something on the court, communicating. And Julia had this very different kind of communication, and she was kind of this like slow burn. You didn't want Julia to yell at you because that meant you were in trouble. And I think people expected that from me, where every play they knew they were going to hear something from me. And it was like, you don't want to get to that level with Julia or even some others. And I think it just created a really good environment for like wanting to always do your best, give your best in every play, because you knew that you were going to get some feedback, whether it was from me or Julia or you, Beth Ann, or anyone else on the team. And so we were all kind of always keeping each other on our toes, and we used kind of, our own fiery personalities kind of for good, where you could see how in other circumstances, in different types of mixtures of people, those maybe would not work out so well. But I think we really learned to kind of find what drives each of our teammates and really push on that. And so I know there was people like Gala that, like, if you really like yelled at her in the middle of a play, like she really would get moving, and she would get a lot more fired up. And there were people like Julia where you had to kind of say like, hey, do you want me to move over to this side and cover line? Or didn't she, she would probably just tell me to get out of the way anyway.
Do you want me to move off the court so you can play everything?
Yeah, I play terrible defense now because Julia never let me play. But it was everybody kind of learned how to communicate with each other to best kind of enable the fire out of each and every one of us. And so I think that is what really drove us during those tight situations where, we were tired and it was hot, and we were playing against a lot of these teams that we had built some really strong rivalries against. And so they became very passionate games, and it wasn't just about running plays. It was about, crushing the guys on the other side. So it was fun.
It was. You all pushed each other in practice very much. We're always competing. And sometimes there wasn't a lot of depth in the positions, but you wanted to be the best in your position. And so there was a lot of that inner competition, or the competition against the other person in your spot. And some good training going on, good stuff. Well, this is for all of you. With the undefeated record, the team became the first regular season champions in program history. So what did bringing that new milestone to the program mean to you all, and the significance of finally having something in the gym that wasn't a basketball banner, finally having a women's volleyball banner in the gym? What did all that mean to you? And Coach Joe, let's start with you.
I thought it was, I just remember that the more that we talk about it and thinking about like how we were 7-0 in conference, I remember ticking those games off. And I don't know if we visibly did it, but I just remember going, oh my gosh, like 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. And like, even if like, if there were these non-conference games, and maybe we lost a few, but that because Catholic was in our conference at that time, and they were like one of the best teams, and we struggled with them, and Gallaudet and all those. But I just remember like that feeling of perfection every time we won a conference game. It was like 5-0, 6-0, every single time, and every single one felt like such a huge victory. And I've been on teams where you expect to win. I've been on teams where mostly coach teams where it's like, I don't know. But like, there was just something super special about kind of just like you're realizing, oh my gosh, are we going to do this? We're going to do this. And like each time just feeling that, you know, that in conference record just ticking bigger on the left side than the right side, you know? So that was the kind of special part for me.
Julia or Bea?
I'll go next. I think that for me it was I just remember all those banners around that gym and hoping, you know, I mean, being a transfer, it takes a while to get used to the culture of the place that you're in, but you saw those and you knew that that's my goal. If that's the coach's goal, my coach's goal, then I'd like to do that. So I think that was really special for me to know that we had accomplished something that was one of the goals that you had for us. And then for the team, because, you know, you listen to some people actually played basketball as well. So it's kind of like, you know, we've gotten this far and, you know, we're on volleyball just to kind of keep us in shape before we get to, you know, the next championship. And so we were kind of like, for me, if I felt like, well, why couldn't we just, you know, why couldn't we get there too? And so once we did, I think that it's just a unique feeling once you have the undefeated, and then you have that. It's like it's like complete. I mean, almost complete. So I had those feelings. I remember just a sense of accomplishment for what we started at the beginning in preseason. From those memories that I have were really strong from preseason, and the amount of work that we put into it to get to where we got and to tick off those goals.
Bea, you want to finish it out?
Sure. Yeah. So this is probably one of my favorite anecdotes from you know, my recruiting trip.
Uh-oh.
Going to look at Marymount, you know, even before I decided to join the team, was, you know, during my recruiting trip, I was still kind of contemplating whether or not I wanted to play volleyball in college. I'm obviously very glad that I did. It all worked out pretty well. But one of the things that our assistant coach sang at the time and told me was that, you know, we really just needed a new type of dynamic on the team, and we could probably get a banner on the wall by your senior year. And I just thought that was the most audacious thing someone could say. I'm 5'2", so for a college coach to even say that I'm going to play, let alone ever be in a starting lineup, I was like, okay, I want to do that. Like, I don't know who else is on the team, but like, sign me up if that's going to be like, if that's a probable conclusion. So that was always very exciting to me. And that was always in the back of my head. And, you know, coming into the program freshman year where we had, you know, pretty few fans in the stands, mostly our families. And going from that to where we were senior year, where our stands were packed, we had such a great presence from our friends and family in the area and from the school that, you know, it was a totally different experience being on that team by the time we were seniors, and to be able to kind of take home that banner to immortalize, you know, everything we accomplished this season and everything that we had gone into it, you know, on and off the court, was something that, I mean, I still tell people now. So it's definitely something that was very special.
Yeah, that's a great way to wrap it up, right? I mean, that we are proud of what we accomplished that year. Yeah. Well, that will wrap up our 6th installment of Behind the Moment. We'd like to thank Julia and Bea and Joe for joining us and helping us relive a great moment, not only in Marymount Athletics history, but in my coaching history here at Marymount. So tune in next Tuesday as we bring you another installment of Behind the Moment.